Runty and Bigfoot. The hottest truck of the season, David Morris and the Equalizer. The reigning world champion, Jackie Willman and Taurus. The most feared monster truck in the world today, Dennis Anderson's Gravedigger. And Fred Schaefer's Barefoot. They're all at the Providence Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island for the United States Hot Rod Association Monster Truck Challenge here on ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
Like the sign says, the big boys are in the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island for this edition of the USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge. Hi, race fans. I'm Ken Broo. Now, we all know that lane choice is a key element in monster truck racing, right? Not today. The USHRA has built a round racetrack inside the Civic Center at Providence, so the trucks are going to have to deal with both sets of cars on the track. So much for lane choice. And there's an added bonus. There's a mud racing pit in the middle of everything, which means the drivers are going to have to try to keep their turns tight so they can slide on the mud and stay on the track. Experience behind the wheel should be a big factor on this track. Newer drivers like the Gravediggers Lyle Hancock and Dan Runty and Bigfoot, they might get a lesson or two from veterans like Fred Schaefer of Barefoot fame and Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher. And don't forget, the defending world champion Jackie Willman and the red-hot David Morris plan to have something to do with who wins this title in Providence. Now, with all that said, let's set the stage for the first round of racing. Dan Runty and Bigfoot and David Morris and Equalizer start things off. The second race will pit Lyle Hancock and Gravedigger against Jackie Willman in the new and improved version of the Taurus racing machine. Then, veteran Fred Schaefer will race against another old pro, Gary Porter. You know how it works. The three winners and the fastest loser from round one go on to the semifinals. The trucks are ready. So is the voice of USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge, Joe Lowe. Fasten your seatbelts, check your rear steer, because it's time to turn on the power. Here's Joe.
Thank you very much, Ken. The crowd is ready to see racing action, round-y-round racing action between the Equalizer and Bigfoot. Dan Runty up in the Bigfoot monster truck talked about a round-y-round course.
Circular track versus straight track, what do you like better?
I like this better. There's a little more, what am I trying to say, a little more competition in it, a little more driver skill in it.
And he's got driver skill. That is Dan Runty driving the Bigfoot monster truck out of St. Louis, Missouri. But his competition is from Springfield, Tennessee, the guy who's been winning everything so far this season, David Morris and the Equalizer.
It looks like maybe one track is going to be a little bit better than the other one. I think one of them's getting more air than the other track is. So I've got fast time, so I'm going to try to stay on the take off on the side that maybe gets the less air, but both trucks will have to run on both sides because we're doing a round course, so it's going to be a tough course.
Excellent point from David Morris, the Equalizer, but that starting point couldn't have a whole lot to do with it, especially with reaction time off the line. The crowd is ready, the trucks are ready, and here we go. Look at this. They're both sailing through the air, making that turn. The rear steer being used by both monster trucks extremely well. Bigfoot with a slight edge. The Equalizer having to play catch-up, and uh-oh! Look what happened to Bigfoot. He took out the turn pole. Bigfoot, Dan Runty, wins the race, but he took out the turn pole, and that's going to cost him a win. He's getting the news right now, and this is where it happened. Bigfoot makes the turn, takes out that pole. He must clear that pole. He did not do it. He came around. He does get the win. He was the first one over the finish line, but he took out that turn pole. He's disqualified, and a tough break for the big blue Ford from St. Louis, Missouri. He was looking great. He had that rear steer locked in. David Morris was playing catch-up. Everything looked like it was going Bigfoot's way. But alas and alack, that pole tells the tale laying down. It cost him. So as you can see, Bigfoot first over the line. And unfortunately, he may be the first one on the trailer here at Providence. Our next matchup between the Gravedigger and Taurus. Lyle Hancock up in the cockpit of Gravedigger. Jackie Willman of Taurus is the world champion. And we asked him about this unique course and driving that new truck.
Talk about the struggles in driving a new truck.
It's just the suspension's a lot more softer. It's got a lot more body roll. It's just a lot more hard to keep on the track.
And he's going to have to keep it on this round course. There's Jackie Willman, Taurus, the world champion. But the world champ is going up against Gravedigger for this matchup. Round racing, there they go. Gravedigger with a big lead. Jackie Willman having to turn it around, use the rear steer. Great job there now. Oh, look at this. Lyle Hancock having some problem with Gravedigger. Jackie Willman makes the turn, a wide one, while the Gravedigger cannot make that turn and takes out a pole. It cost him, as it did Bigfoot. So we have the Bigfoot monster truck, and in this race we just saw, Gravedigger took out the pole. It happens right here. As it comes around, bing, you're out of there. The cost you the race. You must clear that pole on the turn. Next up, Fred Schaefer in Barefoot, and this guy's a veteran. He has some thoughts on this rather tough track.
It's muddy, of course, on the end where the mud racers are throwing mud at. This end's got sand for the mud racers to stop, so it's pretty tricky on both ends.
One more question. With a full house out there to get you pumped up a little bit?
Yeah, I get crazy for a big crowd.
Let's see what's going to happen. Fred Schaefer at Pontoon Beach, Illinois with Barefoot going up against Gary Porter and the Carolina Crusher. Gary Porter out of Wadesboro, North Carolina. And Gary is a true competitor. We call him the Lone Wolf. He travels by himself on the circuit. Barefoot, Carolina Crusher on the start. Side by side, they go over the cars, meet in the middle, turn around. And Porter has problems. Porter has problems on that turn 2. Barefoot just smoking them. And Gary Porter doesn't even have a shot at this one before Fred Schaefer wins it. And look at the pole. It just falls down on its own. It says everybody else has knocked me down, but nobody got close to him on that one. The win goes to Fred Schaefer and Barefoot. And Gary Porter's just sitting there scratching his head on that one. Fred Schaefer, look at that use of rear steer. He's got that thing dialed in. Over the cars. Just a beautiful run for the big Chevrolet Barefoot and Fred Schaefer. He was the world champion in 1990. He'd love to have it again in 92. And Fred Schaefer taking advantage of the problems Gary Porter having. So the Barefoot Monster Truck moves on to our next round of Monster Truck Challenge. From Providence, it's back to you, Ken.
Don't you love the round racing? I love it. And as we expected, driving experience played a key role in round 1. The winners were 3 guys who have run on every kind of track imaginable. David Morris gets equalizer into the second round, mostly because the youngster Dan Runte got excited and took a turn too tight. Same thing happened to Gravedigger's new driver, Lyle Hancock. He took out the pole in his race against Jackie Willman. So, Taurus moves on to round 2. Gary Porter was a little too reserved in his driving. So Fred Schaefer is in the semifinals. We'll have all that action coming up for you when USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge continues from Providence in just a moment. Welcome back to the U.S. Hot Rod Association's Monster Truck Challenge. Now, in case you just joined us, we're watching racing on a circular track from the Providence Civic Center. See, the trucks start in the middle, and they go all the way around the floor, and wind up back in the middle of the arena. Second round is about to begin. The 2 guys who stayed on the track while the competition was disqualified face each other now in round 2. And that's going to be Jackie Willman in Taurus and David Morris behind the wheel of the equalizer. Expect a great race between the defending world champion and the hottest truck of 1992. Now, the other matchup has a veteran and a newcomer. Former world champion Fred Schaefer is the veteran in Barefoot. The newcomer is Bigfoot's Dan Runte. Back is the fast loser after hitting a turn pole in round 1 action. Here to describe the second round from Providence is the voice of Monster Truck Challenge, Joe Lowe.
The fans are on their feet in Providence. They've only seen round number 1, but they know round number 2 is coming up. And featured in this one, Jackie Willman and Taurus, who describes that round number 1 race.
Well, it was a little bit smoother ride than the first time, but still not satisfied with the performance around there. I'm just going to try to do better next time.
The word from the world champion, but he's going up against the hottest truck on the circuit this year, David Morris in the Equalizer out of Springfield, Tennessee. Jackie Wellman, the world champ, he's ready. The Equalizer's ready. The crowd's ready, and here we go in Providence. They're both about even. Now the turn, that dreaded turn that's caused everybody problems today. And David Morris does, in fact, have problems. He swings way out. Jackie Wellman under control. Great job. David Morris tried to come back again on that second turn. Had problems with the rear end coming about, and that cost him the win. Your winner right there, Jackie Wellman Torres. Look at this. Great handling on Jackie's part. The rear steer in effect. Straightens it out over the cars. Just a few seconds ahead of the Equalizer. And advancing to our final, the world champion, Torres. Again, David Morris had a lot of problems with rear steer, and it cost him the win here in Providence. Moving along to our next matchup, Bigfoot and Barefoot. Barefoot and the veteran Fred Schaefer out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois.
Talk about the race against Carolina Crusher.
Pretty close race. There's a little bit of mud on the one end there, and I got around the corners pretty good and did good.
How about the straight track as opposed to the circular track? What do you like better?
Well, I guess the older drivers like me has got a little more experience on the circular track, and I think my truck's probably a little bit more prepared than some of them because of the experience.
Experience is going to play a big factor here because he's going up against Dan Runty and Bigfoot, a relative newcomer to the monster truck racing scene. He's piloting the big blue Ford Bigfoot.
I like the track so far. It's pretty smooth as far as the corners. The cars are really smooth. Other than there is one hole in this blue set of cars that does throw you back up. The ramps are good. The corners are good and smooth. The sand helps a lot on the corners. I like the track.
Dan Runty likes the track in Bigfoot. Fred Schaefer says Barefoot is ready, and there they go. On this important turn, both clear the pole. Bigfoot seems to have this track dialed in, and Fred Schaefer, whoa, Freddie, he had some problems. Dan Runty, he has problems on the turn, comes over the finish line first. It was not the prettiest win I've ever seen. This young man thinks it's too loud, and the crowd is just sitting mesmerized. The winner being announced to the crowd as Bigfoot. Dan Runty, he had to watch this pole. That's the one he took out earlier. What a great job, but look, the rear end comes around. Dan Runty is out of shape, but he does keep two tires over the cars at all times. He crosses the finish line, stops it. Hey, the winner is Bigfoot. Now notice that Barefoot's not even in the picture yet. He's not even over the cars. Experience didn't help Fred Schaefer this time, as Bigfoot is your winner. He'll take on Torres in our monster final. And this crowd just can't wait for our next race.
Now, that was probably the best round of racing we've seen here on the U.S. Hot Rod Association's Monster Truck Challenge. Equalizer gave Torres everything he had. But Jackie Wellman is in the finals, and Dan Runty drove Bigfoot like he was the veteran in the race. But Fred Schaefer in Barefoot also drove an outstanding lap around the floor of the Providence Civic Center. Great racing. We're going to have the finals from Providence when the USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge continues in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. The U.S. Hot Rod Association brought the 6 best monster trucks in the entire world to the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island. Built a great racetrack and said, have at it, guys. When the smoke cleared after 2 rounds of racing, 4 of the big boys were back on the trailer. The other 2 are preparing for the championship heat. Both trucks are newer models of famous names. Jackie Wellman has his new Taurus here, and Dan Runty is driving the latest version of Bigfoot. Now, in the first round, Taurus beat Gravedigger, and Bigfoot was DQ'd for knocking down a course marker. And then in round 2, Taurus and Equalizer gave the fans in Providence their money's worth, an outstanding race. Jackie Wellman's moving on to the finals, while Bigfoot came back as the fast loser against Barefoot. Dan Runty kept the big Ford on the track and outdrove Fred Schaefer. So it's Taurus and Bigfoot. Since Taurus has been losing time in the turns, the edge has got to go to Bigfoot, I think. Joe Lowe describes the action in the championship heat here in Providence.
Ken, the crowd is on their feet, and they have reason to be. This is going to be one incredible final. Jackie Willman and Taurus going up against Dan Runte and Bigfoot. They both come into the arena, and as you can see them working on the track, that big piece of equipment, making sure everything is set for this monster final. Both drivers have been asked to size up the competition going to this championship. First, we speak with Jackie Willman of Taurus, and he talks about Bigfoot and the competition he has from him tonight.
What do you know about Bigfoot? What do you have to do to win?
Well, their truck's about the same as mine. It's kind of hard to go around the corner, so it'll be a good race.
Jackie Willman, the current world champion, and the truck that has never, ever won a U.S. Hot Rod Association World Championship, Bigfoot. Dan Runte has to go against Taurus.
Taurus is a tough competitor. The Ford Bigfoot's really been running outstanding. I just have to learn to work with the truck. This is only my third weekend in the truck. I was driving an old Bigfoot 7. I shouldn't say old, but it was a leaf spring truck where we're just on nitrogen shocks here, and it's a lot different ride and a lot different learning to drive it.
Well, he's been learning here tonight, Dan Runte of Bigfoot. He started out knocking over the turn pole, came back as the fastest loser, and finds himself in the championship against the world champion Taurus. There they go. Dead even going into turn number 1. Bigfoot whips it around. Taurus battles, loses a few feet to him. On the turn, the final turn. Bigfoot with the lead. Bigfoot wins it. Bigfoot wins it. He came back from behind. He knocked down the turn pole early on, but Bigfoot, a little luck and a lot of skill, Dan Runte takes the Bigfoot monster truck to a championship in Providence, Rhode Island. He has certainly learned to maneuver these turns. Look at this young man go. Whips it right around. The rear end does not come around this time. A near picture-perfect ride for Bigfoot in Providence. On the finish line, the camera shows you what it's all about. Bigfoot over as cars just barely approaches the cars. Your winner in Providence, Rhode Island, Bigfoot, and Dan Runte getting a big hug from his crew. He is one happy camper. And as they say, the agony of defeat, Jackie Willman suffering that right now in Taurus. Tough break for him. Jackie Willman, he was doing great, had a great run going for him, but again, the turns were too much. Gave it his best shot as the world champion. He knew everything was resting on him, a lot of pressure on him. He just slid around, had problems on that turn, and it just wasn't the night for Taurus to win. Again, Bigfoot your winner at Providence in the Civic Center, and the first win for a young man from St. Louis, Missouri, Dan Runte, and Bigfoot, his first professional win.
What's running through your mind right now?
I'm happy. I'm really happy. I couldn't be any more happier.
Talk about the final run.
Basically the same as the one before, you know, as far as Kenny and those guys. They kept telling me, keep making the same runs you've been making. Make the corners tight because you're going to slide in the corners because it is slippery. Whether you feel it or not in the truck, you are sliding. I'm happy the Ford Bigfoot did good.
Going to be a lot of wins for you down the line, Dan, but this one I guess you'll always remember as number 1.
You're exactly right. I will. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
Well, I know what to say. Congratulations, Dan Runte. You are the champion at Providence on this round of the U.S. Hot Rod Association's Monster Truck Challenge. Let's take another look at Jackie Willman after the race. Oh, man, does that shot say it all? Chin up, Jackie. Better days ahead. As defending world champion, he has to take everybody's best shot. And this time it was Dan Runte who had the better day. Well, go away. The USHRA's Monster Truck Challenge will have more roundy-round racing coming up when we come back. Next up, highlights from Oklahoma City. Welcome back to the U.S. Hot Rod Association's Monster Truck Challenge here on ESPN, the Total Sports Network. I'm Ken Broo. What do you say we dip into the mailbag from our viewers? Alert viewer Gabriel Lopez of Houston, Texas writes and wants to know if the U.S. Hot Rod Association still sponsors competition among monster trucks that aren't quite as famous as our 6 best monster trucks in the entire world. Gabriel, the answer is yes. USHRA fans in Oklahoma City got to see such an event. Alert viewer Laura Clemens of Soddy Daisy, Tennessee, writes to say she loves the 6 big boys we feature here on Monster Truck Challenge. But she asks if we can show some different monsters doing their thing. Hey, Laura, just for you. We're happy to show you some fresh faces from time to time, like right now. The scene is the State Fairgrounds Arena in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Joe Lowe has the highlights.
Ken, these fans are excited. They have reason to be. Roundy round racing, just like you saw in Providence, featuring some of the great up-and-comers of the U.S. Hot Rod Association. Names like Fairly Tame with Doug Spanier aboard, Jim Thomas, and the Master of Disaster, the Auto Value King Crunch and Rob Grossman, and the Auto Value Racer with Scott Stevens aboard. These are some names you'll be hearing in the future, the U.S. Hot Rod Association programs. And when all is said and done, and we brought them down to the final 2, they were Doug Spanier, Fairly Tame, out of Albany, Minnesota. And going against him, Rob Grossman and the King Crunch out of Spring, Texas. So the battle of North and South, there they go, roundy round racing. Fairly Tame and Auto Value's King Crunch. On the turn, Fairly Tame up and away. A Ford Chevy matchup. And your winner, Fairly Tame. Doug Spanier takes the Fairly Tame Ford around the track. Just an incredible job of driving. And Doug Spanier is in the winner's circle in Oklahoma City.
Every run I made, the course kept getting better and better. I had this thing down on the science tonight. I was whipping this thing around 3rd gear all the way. That's why I thought I got an advantage starting on the yellow lane here, because this thing's smooth. You're not catching any air, and I figured I had the corner to catch him already. So by the time I got over the blue lane, I already knew I had the race. But like I say, you're catching a little bit of air coming off the first car there, and you're nose diving a little bit about the 5th car. And that's causing the front end to pop a little bit. So I took a little bit easy on the blue lane. So I'd be straight coming off of there, and I come into the corner, and I seen him coming off this set of cars, and knew I had it.
There you have it, some great racing action from Oklahoma City, and congratulations to Doug Spanier, who drove Fairly Tame around the track and right into the winner's circle. We'll be back to wrap things up here on the U.S. Hot Rod Association's Monster Truck Challenge in just a moment.